Hi everyone, today we are going to look at one best financial advice that actually no one talks about. We've been hearing information and advices over the internet over the years, how to save more money, how to start up a business. Like people like doing solo things, like you just alone as a person. But then this idea dates back to the 1500s, where our great grandparents used to come together, and then they have their single harvest and then collect some of their seeds and deposit them to the communal granary to be planted for the next season. When I talked to my father, that was about 2009, I asked him about it, and then he told me how it started. That people used to collect their seeds from the gardens when they are harvesting, and then some people could eat all of their grains, and then others could eat and then leave some for planting for the next season. Now, these ones who depleted their harvest in one single sprout, or let's say the dry season where they are not growing, they could then come back to these people who kept some of their grains, requesting to lend them some grains and that they will give them back after the new harvest, simply like it was like a loan. And then it had many issues that sometimes you would have only collected for only your specific garden, maybe your 5 acres only, and then another person wants some, and then that puts you back to your goals. Remember, everyone has goals. And then another is that it could break relationships when people used to take grains and then they don't pay back, or they fail to pay back, and that could destroy families. Relationships are broken. And then they came up with a single idea where they could collect all their grains after harvest, and then they keep some which they are going to utilize during the dry spell, and then part of it is left and kept at the communal granary, well dried and preserved, so that it's not eaten by pests and insects, rats. And then after the dry spell is over, the beginning of the wet season, they come together and then collect what they would plant. Simply, they could come together and no one is in a loss. Like literally no one is in loss, because you collected, you deposited, you kept. So you have a right to come back and take part of the grains, and that's how it was. And then you go, you plant, still you return, this time more than required. Yeah. So this idea I'm telling about is, the world has changed. People are now turning to doing solo things as alone. Someone buys his own plot of land and then chases people away from it, constructs his enterprise, and then start. But then I'm looking at a person who is a teenager, because this channel is more about helping the teenagers and the early 20s, because I was once there. I'm about still there, but soon leaving that stage. And I know sometimes it's hard to collect. Actually, not sometimes. In Africa, I think 7 out of 10 individuals have not that privilege of having huge sums of money during their teenage or early 20s, so that they can start up a sounding enterprise. It's really hard unless if you have an invisible hand, and that must be from your parents, relatives, friends. It's not so easy. So life after campus, you're always thinking, what should I do? What's next? And then you don't have that invisible hand. So the idea I'm talking about is, if possible, you look out for your 5 to 8 friends who are good and they are loyal, honest, with the same goals, and then you sit together on the table and plan for your next 5 or 10 years as a group. Because uh, like I said, it's not easy to collect the initial funds at once. So as a group, plan that we are going to be saving such and such amount, which is definite, every week or every month. But for the start, I recommend that you do every week, because one, it's easy to detect who won't comply, and by that way you can weed him out within a month. Because if someone fails the first week, second week, third week, what are the chances that the fourth week she will comply or he will comply? You know the answer. So right, in the first month you can easily weed out those who won't comply, who won't be able As long as they don't have genuine reasons, then it's easy. Then you collect that money in one docket to the 8 of you, and then after a month, that's for deposit for everyone. After a month, you can give out the money to someone, or even 2 months. That's not a lot of time. Yeah, you give one of your members that money to go and start up a business they have in their idea. However, your community should have guys who value the proposition, and then they can know whether is it feasible, will he make profits or not. But sometimes that is too lengthy. You can just let him be, as long as he will return. And the setback I'm seeing, you as a kid, me who receives last, is it the same as keeping my own money for myself? Because if we are like 8 and then I'm receiving my money on the 8th month, is it the same as me keeping my money for myself, like my own, month after month after month? Because it's literally what we are taught by other advisors, that you keep on saving as long as you have a goal, what you're saving for. I'll tell you this, that in this idea, the thing is that he's not taking the money for good. He has to return it within a definite number of months, before even the whole cycle of people or the clique is complete. He has to return some of the profits. At least he starts by 10%. You do your calculations, what's favorable for your colleague, and then you enjoy some of the profits even before you receive own uh, your own uh, your own sum at the end of the 8th month. So it's not like for you, when you keep for yourself, it remain constant. If you kept 8 installations, still you have 8 installations in total. But here they are accumulating over time. He's returning some profits to the docket. This idea maintains relationships between people. It's really very hard to break such a relationship among the people, and you can make it a good thing if it survives for some good time of years, maybe 5, 6, 10, who knows. You can become the gurus, and then you have sounding businesses managed by all your community. So this is some idea that people fail to tell us, or a few tell us over the internet, and then mostly they are told about personal growth, personal finance, everything personal, solo. And you're forgetting that in the end, these people you're living out doing those things alone are the very people that are going to relate with you in the future. What relationship would you be having? What's funny having lots of money and then you have no friends by your side, or really those critical friends? When I say friends, they are those friends who hi, how are you? But they are those critical friends whom you can sit jazz together, chill out. Yeah, you reach a moment you want to chill out with your friends, but then your friend doesn't have money. You have to finance him or just let him be, and there's no relationship. So let's create healthy relationships in our teenage years and then the early 20s. By that way, we shall have a life, like a meaningful life, when we are successful. Thank you for watching. See you in the next videos. Bye. Stay blessed.